So just some reminders before we get into the video. First reminder is to make sure that you're keeping an eye out and an ear out for the key word for this lesson. Reminder number 2 is to make sure you're taking notes. Include the date, lesson number, aim, and standards to help you refer back in your notes. Let's get to it. Okay, so welcome back. Today we are going to be learning about point slope form of a line. That's just one of the other equation forms to write a linear equation. Our aim for today is how can we write the equation of a line in point slope form with limited information. So this is kind of going back to what we were doing with slope of a line with your slope intercept form and using limited information that they give you from the problem. So just to warm you up, just to remind you of what we were doing beforehand, the question is going to be, what is the y-intercept when given the point -2, 5 and the slope is -2/3? So you already know your y equals mx plus b, your equation of a line. You know certain points and you know your slope. So you already know what your m is going to equal. -2/3. So what you're going to do is substitute those values in like we've been doing to solve for your b value, your y-intercept, to solve for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my x and substitute in my x value. I'm going to take my y and substitute it in my y. And then I'm going to take my m, my slope, and substitute here. So then we are only actually solving for my b value. So we're going to have 5 equals let's do -2/3 times -2 plus b. If we multiply everything out on the right, we have -2 times -2/3, so we have 4/3 plus b. We're going to subtract 4/3 from both sides. You can convert it if you wanted to 1 1/3. You're going to be left with 3 2/3 equals b, because remember, we're isolating our variable. So this cancels out and you do 5 minus 1 1/3 or 5 minus 4/3. So your b value is going to be 3 2/3. So information that we need to know: our slope of line, which is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you also have your slope intercept form, which is your y equals mx plus b. Again, m being your slope, b being the y-intercept, and then your coordinate points being your x and your y that you're going to substitute in. So these are your coordinate points. Your slope and your y-intercept. So what we're going to be talking about today is your point slope form, which is a little bit different than your slope intercept form. And as I've said before, everything that you need is actually in the name of the equation of a line. So points, you're going to need points, a coordinate point of somehow, and then you're also going to need your slope. So you have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So here you're going to have your point. And remember, it's important to notice that they're connected by subtraction. So this is going to be your coordinate point. Then you have your slope. Your slope obviously is going to be your m. And that's all you really need for the point slope form, a point and your slope. Again, this is just something you need to memorize and to know that you have your y minus 1 equals m times this whole thing of x minus x1. And you are subtracting. All right, let's try out the first problem. So they're asking you to write the equation of a line using the point slope form. So if we're using the point slope form, I'm going to write it down so I remember it. For a line going through points 0, 2 and 1, negative 3. So if you notice, I need one point. I need a point, which I have, and then I need my slope, which I don't have. But I can find my slope using these 2 points that are given to me. I can use my slope formula, my y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to substitute in my values, find my slope, and then I can start substituting in and just pick a point to use for my point slope form. So I have my slope, which is, I'm going to use negative 3 minus 2 over 1 minus 0. I'm going to get negative 5 over 1, and my slope is negative 5. So negative 5, and let's pick my point 1, 3, or 1, negative 3. So I'm going to use this information on the right and substitute it in here. So I have y minus y1, which is my negative 3, equals my negative 5 times x minus my x, which is 1. So if you notice here, I have a double negative. I'm going to just change that. So I have y plus 3 equals negative 5 times x minus 1. I could also leave it minus negative 3. Doesn't matter. Either one would work. I usually just like to simplify and get rid of my double negatives. Okay, let's try the next problem. Number 2. So number 2, we're also given 2 points. We need to again find our point slope form. I'm going to write it on my side just so I know, and it also gets me practicing memorizing it myself. So I need my slope, I need a point, I have to find my slope, I have my point. So I have negative 4, 0 and 1, 5. I want to find my slope slope using my slope formula. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So here I have my y2, x1. If you need to label it, do it. It works. It helps. So 5 minus 0 over 1 minus negative 4. So then I have 5 over 5, because this turns into a plus, equals 1. So my slope is just 1. And I'm going to pick my point, let's say, negative 4, 0. So y minus 0 equals 1 times x minus negative 4. So I'm just going to rewrite it without my double negatives. Y and y minus 0 is just y minus 0, or just y, equals 1 times x plus 4. Again, you can rewrite this, and if you simplify it, you're going to notice that you can simplify it to your slope-intercept form. So just kind of a connection there. All right, last question. Try this one of your own. I'm going to give you a hint. These values are going to be very important. You have one set here. You have one set here. Remember, you also need to have your point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Try this on your own, pause the video, and come back and check. Okay, so this one was a little bit tricky in the fact that you had to use your points with the situation that they were giving you. So If you think about what your independent is going to be, here it's going to be hours and y is going to be cost. So always want to identify your variables. So your point will be 3,85 because for 3 hours, the plumber charges $85. For 5 hours, the plumber charges $125. So these are the 2 points that you're going to be using. So we're given 2 points. Again, we do not have the slope, but we have the points. So we need to figure out the slope using our slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so let's substitute everything in. Here's my x1, here's my x2, just so I remind myself. 125 minus 85 over 5 minus 3. So we have 125 minus 85 is going to be 60. 5 minus 3 is 2. Your slope is 30. And the point that I'm going to use, let's use 3, 85. So y minus 85 equals 30 times x minus 3. This is going to be my point slope form of the line. So for this lesson, make sure you identify the key word. Make sure you are asking questions, writing down questions for me if you need them. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.